Howzit Bru? Here we are for the announcement of the final Springbok team of the year, the 13th Test match of the year, and this is against Wales at Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. My name's Kenneth, and welcome to Rugby Bru. If you're new here, I'd love you to subscribe if you enjoy the content here, and let me know your thoughts and comments. We welcome engagement here in this community. So we've got a couple of exciting things to chat about here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a breakdown of the team, and then I'm going to share with you some interesting facts and some interesting stats. And that's what we're going to chat about here tonight. And then later this week, I'll give my prediction and everything. So we've got 7 changes to the starting 15, which is the second lowest amount of changes. On average, we do about 10. And the last time we had as little changes as this was the second test against the All Blacks in Cape Town, where we had 5 changes. So 7 changes to the starting lineup. And we got a little bit of a surprise. The first brother pair at halfback, scrum half and fly half. We got Jaden Hendrikse earning his 3rd start of the year. And we got his brother, his boot, with the 2nd start of the year at fly half. Interestingly enough, Jordan Hendrikse's first start was against Wales, the first test this year that we played them at Twickenham. So let's have a quick look at the squad announcement. We'll go through the whole 23. So front row, we got Ox and Nche, Johanna Grobler, and so he's earned a little bit of another go at the Springboks. This will be his 3rd start. We got Thomas the Tank du Toit. Jean Kleyn makes his appearance for the first time since the Rugby World Cup final, and Franco Mostert is making his 5th start of the year after being away for a little bit of an injury. In the loose forwards, we got a bit of a change up there. We got Sia as captain, Ulrich Loh in the place of Pieter-Steph. Pieter-Steph earning got himself a well-earned break, and then we got Jasper Wiese at 8th man. And then halfbacks, like I said, Jaden and Jordan Hendrikse. And then the rest of the back line is exactly the same. So that's the first time this entire year that the rest of the back line has not had a change, okay, which is pretty interesting. So on the wings, we got Kurt Liarense and Cheslin, and then center pairing of Damien and Jesse, and at fullback, we got Apelele Fassi. Okay, so a couple of things to discuss in that starting 15, which I'll get to in a sec. And the bench is an absolute powerhouse of a bench, very exciting bench. We've got Malcolm Marx, Steenekamp, Koch, Etzebeth and Snyman pair up again for the 2nd time after pairing up in the starting 15 last weekend against England. And then we got the exciting debut of Cameron Hanekom. Really looking forward to that. And the 6-2 split. And so the backs, Kobus Reinach and Andre Pollard. Okay, so like I said, a couple of firsts this year is, well, a couple of firsts for this team is the first brother pairing, not just for this year, for Springbok history, at that halfback position, 9 and 10. This is the first time this year that we've had the rest of the back line remain unchanged. And this is the first time Jean Kleyn has played since the World Cup final. And this is going to be the first time that this front row of Ox, Grobler, and Du Toit are playing together. So that's going to be, or starting together. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And I actually don't know if Jean Kleyn and Mostert have actually started together. I don't believe so. So there's a number of firsts going on here. And so the starting pack is a little bit interesting. So it'll be interesting to see if Ox, Grobler, and Du Toit can maintain that dominance. But remember, scrumming is a team effort. It's not just individuals. We understand the power of Ox, of course. And the thing about this is, can they function as a unit? I think they will. But then they got Jean Kleyn and Mostert behind them. And then Sia, Ulrich Loh, been so impressed with Ulrich Loh this year. And then we got the wrecking ball of Wiese in the back in 8th man. Right? So this is Grobler is going to get his he's been out of action since that second test match against Australia in Perth in the rain. He fell out of favor a little bit. Jan-Hendrik Wessels was sort of the utility choice above him, and it was only after once he got injured that he was called into the team. Right, Ox and Jesse for this game, they would have played 11 of the 13 games this year. So they're the most used Springboks, and that means that they have started 85% of the games. So they're the most used players. So you can see how important and how pivotal they are to this team at the moment. So that's going to be something interesting to watch. The other thing, Ox is holding the record for the team this year of 7 consecutive starts. No other player has done that apart from Jesse, who had 6 consecutive starts from the Australian game in Brisbane all the way up until the Argentina game in Nelspruit. So Ox's run has gone from the New Zealand first test again in Ellis Park all the way here. Okay, so in that loose head position, it's only been Ox, and for 2 other games starting has been Jan Hendrik. Okay, and then in the center position, it's only been Jesse and Lacanyo Am in that outside channel. Okay, so we haven't even seen Kane and Moody, for example, in that outside channel this year. So Mostert and Kleyn, yes, first test together. Mostert gets his 5th start, which I've already mentioned. No Pieter-Steph du Toit, no Grant Williams, no Bongi Mbonambi, and no Kwagga. What the heck? The super sub is there, right? So that's and Pieter-Steph not being there, that guy, I mean, has certainly earned his break, right? He has started 7 test matches this year for 54%. So again, he's clearly been managed for the long term, and just because of his workload and his work rate. But it's not, like I've said in the past, it's not just the games, it's the actual minutes, and he tends to play 80 minutes for those games. So it can be a little bit, Ox obviously goes off. Jesse typically plays the full 80. Pieter-Steph du Toit is another guy that plays a lot of the 80. So that workload is pretty high. The other interesting thing is Eben has only started 7 of the test matches this year. So 54%, same as Pieter-Steph. And you'll start seeing some of these patterns, which I'll go into in a couple of videos that I have sort of outlined for you guys, and we can get into a lot more detail about the management of the workload, etc. So yeah, the interesting thing is just the switch to without Williams. I thought Williams had a phenomenal test match, but obviously just wanting to keep Corbus busy. I don't know any other rationale behind there, but I would have loved to have seen Williams have another go and get that consistency. We've spoken a lot about the Springboks not looking as fluid together on attack, right? The defense has been good and the set pieces for the most part, except for the line out. But we've all noticed, right, that it hasn't been that fluid on attack. And that, like I say, is average 10 changes a game. And that's going to add to that. So, we've had, for example, the halfback pairing, we've had 11 changes out of the 13 games, right? So you can't even build consistency there with these changes. And you remember a couple of videos ago, I said to you guys, I expect that Rassie will use this year as experimentation. He's used 50 players, and what will happen is that next year that don't be surprised if you start seeing the core group forming and those guys then getting consistent starts and building on that. And sure as heck, today in an interview, I saw him say, hey, like in 2020, they weren't able to experiment, which was part of their plan after winning the 2019 World Cup, because what he wants to do is see as big a pool as he can, get those 2 best teams in the world, but he's trying to experiment who are the guys that can step up and who are the guys that have potential to be part of that squad and the type of player that he likes. And then he culls some of those guys, right? But they're still part of the system and they back up. And he said today, like, what's going to happen is expect after the home games next year, so the home tests, And those aren't sort of verified yet. So we'll let you know as soon as we know about those. But after those home tests, as we go into the Rugby Championship, he did say you'll probably start looking at a core of about 35 players that will start playing together. All right. And the other interesting thing is that he did mention in this interview that, it's not just about managing players for the World Cup. He says because some of these guys that are older, they're playing some of the best rugby. So it's actually wrong to deny them game time right now in the expectations or trying to manage them to the World Cup where they might not even make the World Cup. 2026, for example, he said this is 2 years away and a lot can happen in between there. So that performance might just go like boom. So you don't want to deny those guys, but also at the same time, you are keeping an eye on the World Cup. So it's this balance that they're trying to play. Right. So like I said, that bench is an absolute beast, right? So Cameron Hanekom is going to be covering 6, 7, and 8, according to an interview I saw with him today. And again, we're going with the power proven group of people. So if that front row, if the Mostert Kleyn isn't working, then they can bring in the changes. And so that's the safety. So to me, this is a real bomb squad. The other interesting thing is that old Steenekamp has now 7 games in a row come in as a replacement. And in fact, he has 8, 9, 10 starts out of or on the bench for the 13, right, this year. So he's getting his caps up nicely. He's coming in at critical points. We're part of that bomb squad, winning the games, which is a great thing to do for a young prop like that. So he's getting phenomenal experience, right? Coming in, and you got to admit, he's coming to some games against the All Blacks, against Ireland, against Scotland, against England, against Argentina, where things are a little bit tricky, and he's had to perform and get us over the finish line, right? So he's gaining that experience and also being there when we lose against 1 point against Ireland and Argentina. So that's experience that you just you can't buy. It only comes from playing, right? So that's one of the things that I'm excited about, and Hanekom. And so for Cameron Hanekom, there's always the danger, right? These new guys that there's a lot of hype around. People expect so much from him. So let's just take it easy on the fella. It's great to see him there. I don't know when he'll come on, but I'm sure he'll come on around that 50, 60th minute kind of thing and give a good go on for his debut. And then, of course, the Earburn Snyman Power Pack to come on. So it'll be interesting to see how Wales deal with that. Is this a nuclear squad above the bomb squad? Because Malcolm Marx, Steenekamp, Vincent Koch, Earburn, and Snyman. And then you've got Cameron Hanekom running on 2. And of course, these guys have played against him in the URC. And then you've got another speed merchant in Quibus. And you've got Mr. Reliable and Pollard coming on. So that's got to be a frightening prospect for any team to face up. So anyway, that's the team. I'd love to know what you guys think. This is very exciting for us to be able to see these guys. And I'm really looking forward to see how the Hendrikse brothers play together, and also just that back line again, getting into action, and Kurtley and Fussy. I'd love to see Fussy get more into the game this week. And of course, Cheslin. That's really exciting. And yeah, let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to subscribe, and I'll see you on later in the week. Take it easy. Cheers.